Hey expats, so we're in Athens, which is our final destination for our winter travels.
Yep, and in this video we're going to talk about some of the things that we did, what things we like, what things we didn't like, and then also wrap it up talking about if we would be an expat in Athens. So getting into Athens when you get to Athens airport is really straightforward. You have a couple of options. The first option is to just get a taxi, and they're not really that expensive, so it's something to consider. Second option is to hire an Uber. Now the thing with Uber is they're not allowed to actually pick up in the arrivals area. So you'll have to leave the airport and head down to one of the parking lots. There's a section in the parking lot that the Uber driver is actually allowed to pick up there. And I think within the Uber app, it kind of tells you where that pickup point is. It's right near the Sofitel. So if you guys can get out of the airport and see the Sofitel, it'll be to your left. The third option is to catch the metro. The downside to that one is if you're in a big group, if you're traveling in a group of, I think, 3 or 4 people, a taxi is probably going to be the same price as what it will cost for 3 or 4 people to get their train ticket. And the other thing is you're locked into their timetable. They take, I think it's 1 train per hour. So if you miss the train, or maybe it's every 30 minutes.
Yeah.
If you miss the train, then you're stuck waiting around for 20, 30 minutes for the next one.
Yeah, it doesn't run very frequently, so if you're with a group, probably a taxi would be a better option. So obviously there are a lot of things to do in Athens. It's a very historic city, and the main thing would be the Acropolis area where you can see the different ruins, the Parthenon, things like that. So that is definitely a must-see in Athens.
Yeah, it is. I wouldn't say it's the only thing to see, though. You still have Syntagma Square and Monostraki. I'm probably butchering those pronunciations, but you do have those squares, those districts where you can walk around and take in kind of the street shops and the food and all that. So it's not the historic sites per se, but it's definitely tourist attractions.
Yeah, they've got really good food, good shopping. You can just get coffee or ice cream, or there's really anything to do around there. You can sit down and people watch if you want. So it's great after seeing some of these historic ruins to just kind of sit down and relax and get something to eat, watch people, things like that.
Yeah, the cool thing that I noticed is that Kaylee and I were here about 7, 8 years ago now, and I feel like the atmosphere has changed quite a bit. It seems as if people have a bit more optimism, because I think when we came, it was kind of at the beginning of the financial crisis for them, or maybe they were just in the midst of the financial crisis. And granted, the economy still isn't amazing there. I think that their average income is something like 600 euros per month, which is quite low. But people are still friendly, optimistic. People are still out spending money on food, on clothing, whatever it is, and it doesn't seem like there was this tension that we felt when we came to Athens years back.
Yeah, so people are out and about doing things. The markets were full. The restaurants seemed full. There was a lot going on. For it being winter, people are still traveling around and going around seeing things.
Yeah, and we actually traveled to Athens, like I said, 7 or 8 years ago at the exact same time. So, comparing the two is pretty like for like. And this trip was much better. And I just feel like it kind of comes down to just the people's attitude around us. There's definitely a spring in everyone's step.
So things to see, obviously, like we say, you can see the Acropolis area. You can spend a good time up there. There's lots of different museums. They've got a contemporary art museum to go to. The Syntagma Square, the different squares obviously have statues and fountains and things that are just really pretty to see.
There's also this neighborhood called Plaka, and I think a lot of the locals would call it kind of an indicative neighborhood of Athens. There's food, there's boutique shopping, there is art. I would highly recommend checking that out. I think it's a little off the beaten path. It's not one of those typical tourist destinations, but definitely check out Plaka. I'll put the spelling below. Surely I butchered that one again as well.
Yeah, it's nice to just walk through. And of course, if you're looking for different souvenirs, that would be a good place to pick up some neat souvenirs.
Yeah, things that aren't as common as you would expect, I guess.
Yeah.
your typical refrigerator magnet, right?
Yeah, things that you would get at the airport. It'd be different.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You also have the ancient agora and the Temple of Zeus that you can check out. I highly recommend those. A lot of the things that you can see, they're so massive. They're kind of free. I mean, you can pay to go into the parks, but then you can also be like across the street and just take pictures of things and see them. I don't know, if you want more detail, maybe you pay a couple euro and go up closer to them.
And getting around Athens is pretty easy. Their metro system is really good. It's cheap.
It's a walkable city too.
Yeah, you can walk around or you can hop on public transportation and get around to see the different things, depending on how much time you have, I guess. Walking, if you have a lot of time, would be good because you obviously see more. But if you don't have as much time and you need to go kind of from place to place, then their metro system is really good.
Yeah. I would also recommend, possibly, if you have time, hopping on a train and maybe heading out to Piraeus. That would be pretty cool. Or also getting a train or a bus to Corinth. We did a day trip to Corinth, actually, and went up to the ancient city of Corinth, and it was €5, something like that. It was pretty cheap.
Yeah.
I'll put the price in this video to let you guys know. It was pretty cheap, and we took in some amazing views and the history up there, looking at the ancient ruins. The little town below the Acrocorinth is really, really cool. There's great food there. Again, you can buy little souvenirs and stuff, and the people are really friendly.
So Athens is a great city, lots of things to see there, but then if you can go a little bit outside of Athens, like Piraeus is the port town, or Corinth, just taking trains or buses to these places, I think we would recommend doing that as well. Lots to see in that whole region.
Yeah, you can also catch a pretty quick flight to Thessaloniki and check that out. A lot of the locals said that Thessaloniki is a really amazing city to go to. It has a younger feel to Athens, and just gives people a different indication of what Greece has to offer.
All right, so would you live in Athens?
Yeah, I would. Had you asked me that 7 or 8 years ago, I would have said no. But I think after this experience, my mind changed. Seeing so many different neighborhoods on this trip as well made a big difference. I thought, Athens is really cool.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think maybe a while back when we went, it was nice to visit, but not to live there. But since we were able to get out and see a little more of the way that the locals live this time, instead of doing all the touristy things, I think we could live there.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, expats, we're finished in Athens, which means we're heading home. That is the end of our winter travels. Thanks for traveling along with us.
Yeah, we really appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for all the comments and the feedback that you've left on our videos. If you want to see more, please let us know. We love doing the interviews that we do, but it's also a lot of fun for us to connect with you guys using our travel tips and just travel experience, and talk about, can you be an expat in a place that you travel to.
So make sure you check out our different interviews of people who are expats all over the world. And if you haven't yet, subscribe.
See you on the next trip.
Bye.
Bye.